Hi, it's Lauren here from Calm Family York. I'm talking today about praise, and I want to explain a bit about how you can make the praise that you give your children and the positive words that you use more impact. When we're thinking about raising children, and I know I certainly do, I want my children to be able to go out in the world and to have a really strong moral compass. I want them to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I don't want them to do things that they know are wrong if they think that they'll get away with them, for example. And I want them to be kind and helpful to other people, even when they're going to get nothing out of it. I just want them to do it because it's the right thing to do. And so for me, this is a really, really important topic. I want to make sure that the way that I am talking to my children is instilling that intrinsic motivation in them so that they're going to go out in the world and do a good job because it feels good, and they're going to do things in a way that is really sort of socially admirable because it's the right thing to do. I want them to be good people. And sometimes the way that we talk to our children, even when it's positive, can be a slippery slope. And I think it's important for us to realize the effect that our words have on our children long term, and then if we want to change things, we can. If we don't know about it, then we can't change anything. And so when we think, a lot of us will probably be thinking about praise as being positive and what's wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with being positive. It's brilliant to be positive, but we can make it more effective. And so when we talk about rewards and punishment, for example, really rewards are just the same as punishment, except they're the other side of the coin. So it's all about behavior modification. And if you are modifying behavior, you are getting somebody to do something either to get a reward or to avoid a punishment. So if you are using things, for example, a really simple example with children is a sticker chart. If you're using a sticker chart with your child, what's happening is that you are getting them to behave in a certain way in order to receive a sticker. Now, that may seem really sort of innocuous and not much of a big deal, and probably as a child, it's not such a big deal. But what happens when that sticker isn't enough for them and they want something else, they want something bigger, and so then you need to up the game a bit and you need to be giving them something better. And then that doesn't get enough, and eventually it goes on to where your child is always expecting something when they do something good or something that you want. And then there's also a lot of confusion around, well, why does this behavior get a sticker but that behavior doesn't? And so trying to think about different ways of handling that, I think is really important. So when you're giving your child a reward for a behavior, you're modifying their behavior. And that leads to, or it can lead to, an adult who is always looking for what they can get out of a situation. And when I think about what I want my children to be like, I don't want them to always think about what they can get. I want them to add value to other people's lives. I want them to be kind and generous without thinking about what they get out of it. And I also want them to do the right thing morally because they know it's the right thing and not because they think that they might get a reward or something for it. So there's lots of different ways that you can change the way that you talk to your children and praise them in order to get the most out of it. One of the ways that I found really brilliant when I first started out on this journey of trying to change things a little bit was changing my well dones and good girls to thank yous. So when my little one, if we're rushing to get ready for school in the morning and I ask my little one to put her shoes on, when she does that, instead of saying to her, oh, well done, you're such a good girl for putting your shoes on, which makes it all about just pleasing me, I can say something like, thank you for putting your shoes on. That's really helped us to get out of the door quicker, to get to school on time. And so she sees a real pattern for, or a reason for doing what she's doing. Again, if she helps me with something or she's kind, I'll thank her for that and I'll say thank you. But I'm also really specific, so I'll tell her exactly what I'm thanking her for and why, rather than just a generic well done. And that's really effective in getting her to feel like she's appreciated. It models good manners. She's great at saying thank you to other people because she's being thanked a lot for what she does. And it's also starting to get her to think about doing things because they help other people, and rather than just in order to receive a well done. The other thing that you can do, other than saying thank you and being specific, is sometimes is just to move yourself out of the whole feeling like you need to praise your children, because actually what your children are really after most of the time is just some of your attention and your focused attention. So an example would be your child bringing you a picture that they've drawn. So you could very easily sort of, while you're on your phone, just go, oh, that's a beautiful picture, well done, and then move on with what you're doing. But what your child's really looking for is a bit of connection and interaction with you. And so actually just taking a couple of minutes to look at it and point out things that you notice. And really, it can be as simple as, oh my goodness, you've used so many beautiful colors in this picture, or oh, this looks really interesting, tell me about that. And just get a bit of conversation going. Children love that. And they don't need your value judgment, what you think of the picture particularly. What they really need is the interaction with you. That's what they're looking for and what they're craving. And so doing something like that is really useful. And then the other thing that you can do is just a say what you see approach. So literally just say what you see. So for example, your child has managed to climb up the ladder of the climbing frame. Instead of saying something like, well done, well done for climbing up there, you could say, oh my goodness, you climbed all the way to the top, and now you're at the top, what are you going to do next? And just have a conversation with them. Or instead of saying, oh, good sliding, you could say something like, you climbed all the way, and then you were so brave, you slid all the way down on your own. It can feel a bit weird to start with, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And actually, a say what you see approach, my children respond to so well, because all they really want is for me to notice them. And so I hope that's helped, and I will be putting a blog with a bit more detail in on my page too, so check that out if you're interested, and I'll see you later.